The deep philosophy embedded in this series is one of the many reasons why I enjoyed it so much. Hearing some of these characters speak is like listening to the words of a wise man who knows no boundaries when it comes to possessing great intellect. It can open up your mind and give you a new perspective of the world. I know some people take their words very seriously, so every example that I give will be in reference to the events that occurred in the series. No one in this anime is a villain for the sole purpose of being evil. They all had circumstances which led them to a path that might be in contrast to what we think is good in the shinobi world. Here are some of my favorite lines from some of my favorite characters.
No matter who you are, you do not truly know what kind of man you've become until you reach the very end.
We all know Itachi is a very smart character. He has said some of the most notable things that you'll ever hear in this series. What he said here to his teammate was proven to be true from the way a lot of these characters died. Kisame was a selfish person who had no sympathy for his comrades. He wouldn't hesitate to kill them if he had to. He didn't care about anyone else but himself. But this same person, as if it was a miracle, died protecting his comrades in the Akatsuki, and even went to the extreme committing suicide to make sure valuable intel wasn't extracted from him that they could use to harm the people that he had come to call his teammates. Another example is Obito, who resented the shinobi world and wanted to end it. He fought only for himself and would do anything to accomplish his selfish desires. His only goal was to take revenge on the world that was so cruel to him. Yet in his final moment, he died protecting what he thought was the future of the shinobi world in Naruto and Kakashi. He didn't want anyone else to bear the pain that he felt from the shinobi world, so he decided to remove it from the equation. But he found hope in Naruto once again, proving that the Talk No Jutsu is overpowered, and it's best if they just run if he ever tries to use it. The final example is Zabuza, who was a ruthless killer that showed no remorse towards his victims, or even his teammate Haku, who he said he wouldn't hesitate to kill because he only saw him as a tool to be used. Yet in the final moment he couldn't bring himself to do it, and he wanted to die embracing him instead. Somewhere inside he wasn't just a monster, he was still capable of showing his only comrade love. And as for Itachi, the man who said these words, when he showed his true self to Sasuke at the very end, it changed him forever. So he can also have an impact on people who witness it. There's a lot more examples in the series, I won't be covering all of them.
People really can change, or they die before they have a chance to.
These words directly counters what Itachi said, which is ironic because you could say Orochimaru was Itachi's greatest rival. Many characters in the series met their demise before they could change who they were. Characters like Hidan, Deidara, and Jiraiya. In fact, Jiraiya died questioning who he really was, even going as far as calling himself a failure. We know for sure that he's in pervert heaven though. Hidan was a maniac who gave his life to religion, and in his final moment he was still praising his occult god while saying the most mental things possible. Deidara hated the Uchiha clan and committed suicide by blowing himself up to kill an Uchiha, right before saying it was his ultimate art, and Sasuke still didn't die. This man went kamikaze in a whole forest. I really felt bad for those trees. Then there are people who change before they meet their demise, like Neji, Gaara, and the serpent who decided to shed his skin, Orochimaru. Neji despised Hinata because she was from the main branch of the Hyuga clan, and he was from the branch that was supposed to protect the main family. He hated that and even tried to kill her during the Chunin exams. He had changed so much before the start of Shippuden that in episode 364 when he died, it was because he was trying to save her life. You could debate whether or not he was right about destiny, but he made a complete change before he met his end. We all remember how scared we were when we first got introduced to this character. He was a demented soul who was mentally unstable and had no regard for a human life. He even tried to kill Lee after defeating him in the Chunin exam because he thought he should have been dead. I'm not sure if it was Naruto's Talk No Jutsu, the headbutt, or a few of those solid punches that he got, or maybe it was all of them combined. But after that fight, he was definitely a changed person and became the Kazekage of his village, someone who wanted to protect people rather than kill them. Last but not least, we have Orochimaru, who we know is a sinister villain that has committed some of the most horrifying crimes. He was very selfish and would do anything at the disposal of human life to obtain his goals. It took multiple experiences of him almost being indefinitely sealed before he decided to change. Now he works as an ally with the Leaf Village, the same village he tried to destroy many times, but under close surveillance because they're still not sure if they can trust the snake that was once so venomous. He was a lot worse though, so I think we can all agree that he has changed.
If one comes to call vengeance justice, such justice will only breed further vengeance and trigger a vicious cycle of hatred.
After listening to this speech, I thought to myself, those words cannot be more true. The idea of pain in this series was used like a unit of cohesion, meant to unite people by using fear. The purpose of this character was to inspire people to see from different perspectives before creating conflict with someone you might not understand, which was why Naruto having a deep conversation with Nagato was the only way to stop this idea of pain, or the cycle of hatred between them would have only continued. Naruto thought that by killing the man who destroyed his village and killed so many of his friends and loved ones would bring about justice for him, but Pain suffered the same fate at the hands of the Leaf Village. Completely destroying it was justice for him, for what they did to his village, his parents, and his friends. He thought that by letting everyone feel the same pain it would unite them, by creating a weapon of mass destruction from the tailed beast, which he planned to distribute between the 5 great nations for them to use against each other. He was sure what the 4th great ninja war would have been fought with, but the 5th one would have definitely been with sticks and stones, until they could recuperate enough to start the cycle all over again. A perfect example would be the 5 great nations and how they constantly went to war, replacing justice with vengeance. One revenge for what happened in the last war, which started a new one, and only perpetuated the cycle of hatred amongst them. When Madara asked Hashirama to kill himself after losing his only sibling during the war between the Uchiha and Senju clan, he thought by letting Tobirama feel the same pain that he would come to sympathize with them, but even after witnessing this idea, his hatred for the Uchiha didn't stop, which went all the way down to Sasuke forced to live a life of vengeance while sinking deeper and deeper into the depths of hatred. If it wasn't for Naruto who clung to the last remnants of their friendship and treated him as if he was a family member, he would have been completely lost to this idea. It was the best counter to the hatred that was grabbing hold of him. But even in the end, they had to feel the same pain before they could finally understand each other. Pain's idea to bring about peace in the Shinobi world was never achieved. Fear is something that people gradually overcome. He didn't wish to completely neutralize the Shinobi world. He only wanted to teach them a lesson by using the horrors of destruction. But if he was to successfully carry out his plan, we know for sure that the medical ninjas and memorial sites would have definitely been busy.
The selfish intent of wanting to preserve peace initiates wars, and hatred is born in order to protect love.
While Pain only touched the surface of hate in the Shinobi world, Madara dove even further into why it had so much hate and suffering. He attacked the source of the problem, which he thought was chakra itself, which is why his plan was a lot different to completely immobilize every living organism on the planet by putting them under a genjutsu. In fact, Nagato's pain was fabricated by means to accomplish Madara's goal. He needed to drag him down to a level where he wouldn't question any plans to reform the Shinobi world. Though Nagato wasn't that far gone, Madara knew that he had to take it to the ultimate extreme. His ideology was about things that cannot be separated, that these things would continuously plague the Shinobi world with hatred, suffering, and bloodshed, and all the bad things that they just hate happening, well, at least until they get the point that their collective consciousness had to be permanently obstructed in order to stop these cycles from starting over again. You can debate whether or not he may have went too far, but the Shinobi world continues to face these same problems even today. He said, the selfish desire to preserve peace will lead to war. The peace that Pain mentioned he would have wanted to protect, but from that desire would have given rise to conflict. For instance, the 5 great nations didn't want peace within their borders to be tarnished, and saw outside villages as threats to their peace and stability, which led to the Great Shinobi Wars, despite all the summits they had to preserve peace amongst them. This saying and the proven fact that peace is a temporary illusion goes hand in hand like the perfect couple, Naruto and Hinata. So are Sasuke and Sakura maybe in the next life. As long as there's a concept of victors, the vanquished will also exist. What he meant by this was for someone to win, someone also has to lose. This is also what Pain was talking about because he's from the Rain Village, where every time the 5 great nations went to war, this small village would become their battleground, and each time they would sustain great damage. But from the vanquished, there are people who will hold on to that loss and want revenge because they seek justice, which if you don't think is fair, you're only seen from one perspective. And as I mentioned before, goes against the purpose of the character, and that can trigger the vicious cycle of hatred that he explained. It gave birth to the idea of Pain, the Akatsuki, and ultimately the destruction of the Leaf Village because his parents were killed by a Leaf Shinobi when he was a child. Which is why I get his plan to bring about a stalemate where everyone's the vanquished and no one's the victor. But Madara's philosophy is still true because if he was to accomplish his goal to let everyone suffer the same pain, he would have been victorious while everyone else who suffered that pain would be a part of the vanquished. This further proves that these are indeed things that cannot be separated. For example, in the final fight between Naruto and Sasuke, physically there was a stalemate but idealistically Naruto won. He also said that hate is born in order to protect love. People will fight to keep harm from someone they love, and in the process they'll be hated by their opposition. The best example would be Itachi and how he took on so much hatred in order to safeguard his younger sibling Sasuke who he loved so much. Obito wanted to secure his love for her and so he agreed to cast the infinite Tsukiyomi after seeing her die, which instantly developed the deep hatred that he had for the world. Gaara's tattoo on his forehead means love, which was permanently imprinted there as a reminder of the only person that ever showed him love, who he accidentally killed but still wanted to hold on to and preserve that feeling of being loved, while he became the embodiment of hate.
This is the end result of ideals and hope. This is reality.
Ideals are only principles that people hope to accomplish, but if it is achieved it becomes a part of the real world. Obito at this point was far gone and sounded like a complete lunatic, but he did have a point. Shinobi are one of living in Ashurama's ideals that manifested itself into physical existence, then got corrupted by the real world, which is cruel. You can say that reality is cruel because it can reshape itself according to however it wants to be perceived, which was the whole concept of the infinite Tsukiyomi. He thought that by letting Shinobi's ideals never meet the real world, it would protect them, but he fell victim to this as well because the moment he casted that jutsu, his principles met the real world, which quickly got corrupted both literally and metaphorically. It's safe to say that he was a victim of his own judgment, because he was the one who said, and I quote, "Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world." Even the Sage of the Six Paths who wanted to use chakra to connect people saw it become something they use as a weapon. Obito wasn't saying you shouldn't chase your ideals or try to fulfill them. He was saying they're probably going to turn out to be something different than you intended. What are some of your favorite ideals from the series and who do you think had the best one on this list? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Until then, this is Kage Level signing out.